Yeah,
Off the
it's good.
rip.
All right, you're good, Chris.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tech School. We have a really interesting speaker for today. And my name is Christopher Morales. I'm the CEO of an advanced menswear archive and e-commerce site. And similar to myself, there are many other like-minded entrepreneurs that we showcase on this channel. And I hope you stay tuned. Okay, Stephen, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, just like Chris said, we have an awesome speaker today. We have Ty. I'll let Ty, introduce and tell a little bit more of his story in a minute. Before we get started, just wanted to know, for those of you who are watching this live or watching this recorded, feel free to give us a like, leave a comment down below, share your thoughts, ask a question. All the interactions we get with videos like this help push it out to more people. So if you found something insightful, if you wanted to ask a question, start a dialogue on something that was shared today, it helps pushes that video out and could push it out to an entrepreneur or somebody who may benefit a lot from hearing Ty's story and hearing a lot of things that we talked about today. So if you have a chance, feel free to do so, but I'll hand it on over to Ty.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Ty Smith. Thank you so much for having me today. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah, you're good, Ty.
Nice. Yeah, I appreciate being here today. I'm always humbled when people, especially people like Curling and Johanna, people that I consider to be more than just friends of mine, but mentors to me, people that I look up to, people that have taught me things over the last 5 years that I've been on this entrepreneurial journey. I always feel extremely humbled when those kind of people reach out to me and ask me to put some feedback out into the community of other people that are on this journey with me. And it's also good to just know that I'm not alone because misery loves company and this is a hard ride. So, again, thank you, Curling and Johanna, for having me today. I hope I can deliver some value. I will start off by telling y'all a little bit about myself, and I'll bring up the slides as I'm doing that. Pardon me, I don't know where that went. But again, Ty Smith, my background is prior to building this company, CommSafe AI, I am having issues here. There it is, disappeared. Yeah. I spent 20 years in the United States Navy. I spent the first 4.5 of those years as a military police officer. I spent the next 15 years post 9/11 as an active duty Navy SEAL. Was really blessed in that at the end of my career, I still had 10 fingers and 10 toes, right? But also the military saw fit to help me get an education. So I went out and completed a bachelor's degree from Ashford University in organizational management, business degree. And then I went to go to grad school at USC, Fight On Curling, where I completed my MBA. And then I was actually planning to go over to the FBI as I was coming out of the SEAL teams. I was, completing my graduate studies. And December 2nd, 2015, I was sitting in Marshall Business School when the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino, California was attacked. And I'm sure a bunch of y'all remember when that happened. And so a couple of weeks after that, a bunch of my wife's colleagues were reaching out to me personally, and all of them sounded the same. They were like, Ty, we're scared. This place isn't providing us with any training. We don't have any planning in place. We don't know what to do if someone comes into the hospital or the clinic and tries to hurt us. And you're literally the only person that we know that understands this kind of thing. So will you come and talk to us about how we protect ourselves? And so after doing that several times, it was like I could hear my entrepreneurship professors in the back of my head telling me what the market needed from someone with my skill set at that time. So long story short, I ended up turning down the role at the FBI and building my own company. And 5 years later, I am here to tell you that the only easy day was yesterday. Like this has been a crazy ride over the last 5 years. I tell people all the time, and they never believe me, but throughout my career in the SEAL teams, I have survived at least 60 gunfights in my entire adult life. And I can't think of one of those gunfights that stressed me out more than I'm stressed out on a daily basis right now running this company. So this is absolutely my face whenever I overhear somebody talking about how easy it's going to be to run their own company, because that
I
is
love
just
that.
not the truth.
That's real talk, Ty.
Yes, I'm here to spit facts. Pull up a chair. So I'm not going to talk about a lot. I've only picked a few topics that I want to talk about, but these are topics that are the most important to me. And I'm going to try to spend no more than the next 30 minutes talking about these, because I want to make sure that we've got about 10 or 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. So starting with launching the business, at the very beginning of my journey was relatively easy. Like I thought it was like, I was like, man, like, okay, so far so good. This isn't hard. Because like I said, I was sitting in grad school one day. I was asked for help a couple weeks later. From there, I sat down, I started building out my business model canvas. And like 3 weeks later, I launched the company. Like total delusions of grandeur, like any other founder. No more preparation than that. Of course, I did a bunch of research over that few weeks regarding, hey, what industry am I really getting into? But knowing what I know now, I wasn't even close. I had so far to go. Now, there's also something to be said about, okay, well, don't overthink it and talk yourself out of a good idea. But I know now that I wasn't even close to that point. I probably should have did a little bit more research, but you know what? I jumped and I figured out that I'll learn how to fly on the way down, and I'm either going to figure it out or I'm going to crash and burn. And so that's what I did. I jumped and I figured it out. But launching the company was easy. Keeping the company going over the last 5 years has proven to be, again, the most difficult thing I have ever done. But at the same time, I have to say that over the last 5 years, I've experienced more personal and professional growth in 5 years than I ever could have imagined. And I'm so grateful for it, because now I've taken on an entirely new skill set that I can hand over to people like you and show you how to do what I've been able to accomplish over the last 5 years. So some of the things that I want to talk to you all about, first and foremost, as you're starting this journey, some of you are thinking about starting a company on your own. Some of you are thinking about starting the company with a co-founder. And here's my outlook on that. There's nothing wrong with doing it on your own, as long as you always remember that you don't have to. Even if you start a company on your own without a co-founder, stay in the mindset of, I don't have to do this by myself, and I would be a fool to try, because you're not going to be able to do this by yourself. It takes a village. You're going to have to build a team of brilliant people that you believe in them and they believe in you if you're going to make this work. Now, I want to talk specifically about starting a business with co-founders, because really what I want to do is I want to talk to you all about some of the mistakes that I made, some of the things that I had to learn from. So when I started this company, I started out with 3 co-founders. There were 4 of us, 3 gentlemen that I met when I was in grad school. I had this fantastic idea. I really liked these guys. They were in my study group. I thought that they were really smart people. I believe they were all smarter than me, and I thought that their personalities balanced mine really, really well. And ultimately, one jumped off the ship like immediately. Like he saw the writing on the wall. This is going to be hard. He was gone 30 days later, right? No love lost, is still my boy, all good. The other 2, over the course of the next couple of years, one who's still with the company, he had a day job and he chose to keep his day job. And I totally understood, because he had 2 little kids at home. The other ended up having to move to the East Coast because his wife was still in the Marine Corps. And when they got there, she had a baby. So he had to go out and get a job too. And again, can't blame him for that. I was really fortunate. I had my military retirement to lean on. My wife does well. I wasn't really worried about money. I could focus on the company. But what I didn't realize is that over the next couple of years, I would start to feel that distance and then resentment toward my co-founders, not because I didn't like them as human beings, not because they didn't like me, but because I felt extremely lonely at the top of that hill by myself, 24/7, giving this company 150%, and I felt as though I was only getting maybe 5% of their time. And again, no feelings of malice, circumstances what they were what they were, but we had a very serious problem, or I should say, I had a serious problem, and that at the very beginning, and I'm telling you, please do not make this mistake. And it's human nature to want to do it because you're a good person. At the very beginning, when it got down to just three of us, we said, hey, listen, we're friends. We love one another. We're not going to screw one another over. So we're going to split this ship up equally. You're going to own a third. I'll own a third. You'll own a third. And we're going to give our attorney 1% so that he's got skin in the game. Por favor, do not ever do that. Someone has to be in charge. Someone ultimately has to have the ability to have veto power and say, no, we're not going that way. We're going this way. Doesn't mean that you don't listen to your team, but ultimately someone has to be in charge. Now, this is why I say that was a big mistake, and it scared the daylights out of me. When I actually started to learn about entrepreneurship and I started to learn about cap table management, I realized that, wait a minute, he owns a third, he owns a third, and I own a third. But this is my company. This is my idea. I built this ship. I've been building it over the last 2 years, feeling lonely because I'm doing it primarily by myself. I'm not getting a bunch of those guys' time. But guess what? He owns a third and he owns a third. And now the company is worth a couple $1 million. If the two of them wanted to get together, combine their stock options, they could vote me out of my own company and there's nothing I could do to stop them. And when I learned that, it scared the daylights out of me. So it led to the next point, uncomfortable conversations. I had to sit down with my two co-founders. They were friends of mine. I care about these guys. I still care about them. One of them is still in the company, but he's just a minority shareholder now. And I had to have that very uncomfortable conversation with my friends about, hey guys, this is how I'm feeling. You know, I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling resentful. I don't want to. I care about you guys. You're my friends, but we have to make a decision regarding what's fair and what's best for the company. And so ultimately, long story short, we voted that those guys would sell their ownership back to me. They would each only keep 5% because I was only getting about 5% of their time. Fortunately, it worked out because we're friends and we cared about one another. But had there been some turbulence in there, it could have gone really, really ugly. And I could have been voted out of my own company within the first couple of years. So if you're thinking about starting a company with a co-founder, manage expectations. Everyone have those uncomfortable conversations up front. Hey, listen, this is what I'm concerned about. If we're going to do this, like how much of your time am I getting? Are you willing to put that in writing? Are you willing to accomplish these milestones within this period of time in order to earn the stock options that I'm giving you? Have those uncomfortable conversations up front so that the expectations are managed up front, because you don't want to have that kind of uncomfortable conversation, especially if there is some kind of negative energy in the air and those people don't want to give you that ownership back. It could go sideways really fast. Continuing on uncomfortable conversations. You're going to be an entrepreneur, get used to them. One of the best pieces of advice one of my mentors ever gave me at the very beginning of this journey is he said, Ty, if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to learn to become comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. He told me that one time and it stayed with me. And I'm telling you now, if you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur, you have to learn to become comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. And that is facts, because all I do all day is have uncomfortable conversations. I'm in the final stages of due diligence with several venture capital firms right now. I'm closing up a couple $1 million funding round. I'm in uncomfortable conversations all day. I got a pitch tonight in the San Diego Angel Conference, and I'm nervous. I'm trying to ask people to invest in me. Because make no mistake, at this stage of my company, they're investing in me. They're not investing in my idea, my technology. We're so early. No, they would be investing in their belief in me. So these are really uncomfortable conversations. But this is how you get used to having those uncomfortable conversations. This is how you get used to becoming comfortable in those uncomfortable conversations. Do them often. Force yourself to have those conversations. Force yourself to become a better communicator. Know your business like it's your business. It's your life. Know it like it's your whole life. It's the back of your hand. Know your market like it is the back of your hand. To this day, I challenge any investor to try to drill down on me when it comes to my market. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to run circles around you. This is my whole life. I know it like the back of my hand. I don't have a plan B. If you have a plan B, you're done before you get started. Know your customer. Know your customer's company as if it was your own company. That's how you become comfortable having those conversations. So that brings me to this point, customer and product discovery. This is phenomenally important. How to know if your product or if your idea is feasible. You got to talk to people. In your head, your idea might be like, oh my God, this is a great idea. This is going to be the best product in the world. But it doesn't matter what you think. You're not trying to buy it from yourself. You need to know what your customers think. So you have to go out and talk to customers. When I was in grad school and we started entrepreneurial studies, one of the first things that Tommy Knapp, my entrepreneurship professor, one of my mentors to this day, taught us is that, hey, if you got an idea, go out and talk to at least 15 or 20 people about that idea. Document what they tell you. Start gathering that information because that's going to go into how, first and foremost, is going to tell you if it's a good idea or not. Talk to 20 people and 15 of them are like, that's an awesome idea. Really? Is it so awesome you'd be willing to pay me money for it? Yes. Okay. Then it's a good idea. But if 15 out of 20 say, nah, I don't know if I spend money on that. Okay, well then that idea and go find something else. But you've wasted no money, a little bit of your time, right? You have to spend a tremendous amount of time knowing your customers. So in order to do that, you have to get out and talk to people. For example, over the last year, my team and I have spent a significant amount of time building a technology that I'm raising funding around right now, a technology that I think is going to change the world. It's going to keep people safe in the workplace. I believe it with my entire heart. But I believe it with my entire heart, not just because my common sense is telling me that, hey, this is the solution to that problem, because I made that problem my entire life, the last 5 years, but in order to learn if that solution was actually what I thought it was, as we worked out the idea as a team, I said, okay, I need to spend the next 5 or 6 months learning if this idea is feasible. So I went out and I interviewed more than 60 chief human resource officers and corporate counsel. Why did I interview that specific persona of people, HR and legal? Well, because we had already figured out that's who we're going to sell this product to. It's not the CFO, it's not the CEO. We need this messaging to appeal to the head of HR. This messaging has to appeal to the head of legal. So those are the types of people that I interviewed over the next 6 months. And I documented all of that data. I put it all in spreadsheets. We developed a product discovery survey where we developed 7 questions. And let me tell you, it took me about a month just to develop the initial 7 questions, because who cares if you're asking questions if you're asking the wrong questions? So put a bunch of thought into that. Once we had those questions down, I went and interviewed 30 of my prospective customers, got their feedback, went into the spreadsheet, synthesized the information, and guess what? Our questions evolved. So we redid the 7 questions based on the data we learned from the first 30 interviews, and we went out and we interviewed an additional 30 plus. So now at the end of my survey, I've got this spreadsheet with data from more than 60 prospective customers telling me exactly what they need this product to look like and what they need it to do in order for them to give me their money to purchase this product. That's exactly what that is for. It's like, okay, well, you've told me that you think this is a good idea. Okay, tell me what you like about my idea. Well, I like that it's got this feature and it's got this little door in the back and I can put my credit cards in here. Okay, now, even more importantly, tell me what you hate about this product. Well, I don't like that and I don't like this. And like, okay, I'm taking that down. Wow, like 20 people said they didn't like that. Well, I guess I better not build that into the product. And then you take that information you learn from it and you build what the market is telling you to build. And you're getting information from people like, okay, you like these features. How much would you be willing to pay for this product? Okay, well, if I added those features, would you be willing to pay more for the product? How much more? Ask them those uncomfortable questions. How much would you be willing to pay for this product? Because you're going to have in your mind, well, I think I'm going to charge this much, but you're not sure. Again, it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what your prospective customers think. So you build what they tell you to build. You go back, you ask them, is this what you expected? When you and I had a conversation about what you wanted the product to look like and how you wanted it to work, I went out and built it. Tell me, is this what you were expecting? I saw everything that I wanted. Yeah, that thing that's not really what I meant. Okay, well then tell me what you meant so I can go back and fix it. And then you come back, is this what you meant? Yeah, okay, sign this purchase order. Here you go. But you do that by learning from the customers, and you have to go out and talk to people as much as you possibly can, because this is a fact. Starting a business is so easy. But I'm telling you right now, the look that Forrest Whitaker has on his face in the bottom of this picture is exactly what it feels like to me running a rapidly growing technology company over the last 5 years. This is a different beast. I've never felt this kind of stress. And again, I've been shootouts where I knew in my whole heart, like, all right, numbers up this time. It's been a good ride. You know, I'll see y'all in the afterlife. And it didn't stress me out as much as this stresses me out every day. I'm scaling a company with a couple $1 million of other people's money, and not just other people that, you know, this is friends and family around, you know, these are friends and family. These are people I love, care about, and I will not let them down. This is a different kind of stress, and it's getting all of me. I'm that person that's so committed to this cause that I basically didn't sleep for the last 2 nights. Not because I didn't want to, like, trust me, I wanted to, but even after taking like 10 milligrams of melatonin over the last 2 nights, I can't stop pitching in my brain because I know what's on the line, and I'm going to be ready for that 3-minute pitch tonight. I don't care if I have to just completely envelop myself in that pitch for the next 3 hours. I'm going to do whatever it takes, because running a business is hard. What time is it? I'm telling you right now, it's time to keep on going, because you're going to run into times where you're going to feel like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, this isn't, why am I doing it? I can just go out and get a job and I can make a few $100,000 a year being a visa. Like, why am I doing this to myself? You're going to have those moments all the time. Listen, I had one of those. I'm going to tell y'all something. Honestly, I had one of those moments this morning. I hate it when the day starts out like this. First thing in the morning, I get bad news. First thing in the morning, the first news I get is bad news. You're going to have times where you question why you're doing this to yourself. Is it really worth it? Can you do it? Will you keep going when it gets tough? Founders have to have faith that is beyond belief. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe what you're building, no one will believe in you. You have to believe when no one else does. You have to be willing to stand up and fight for what other people are going to just tell you no for, because they're scared or they're intimidated or for whatever reasons. You have to have completely unshakable faith. And another way you do that is by going out and doing what I told you to do a couple slides ago. Talk to the market. Get that information from the market. Get that information from your customers. Because if you have the data to support what you're saying, then again, if you're going to try to go down this rabbit hole of questioning me, I'm going to run circles around you, because I know this market. I know my customers. This is what I do. I don't have a plan B. There are going to be plenty of obstacles, y'all. I keep telling you, like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. There's always going to be obstacles that are placed in your way, whether it be we need more money, we can't figure out pricing, we're having a hard time bringing marketing together, or this isn't working right, so I got to bring in another technology. There's always going to be something. As a founder, you have to be willing to stand up and go around, over, or freaking through any obstacle that's placed in front of you. That is the attitude you have to have as a founder. Every day, I come up here in my home office and I feel like I'm just banging my head against this wall, trying to get something to go. And at the end of the day, I'm standing there in front of my computer and I got blood dripping down my face. But you know what? My head is still held high, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. Obstacles are going to get tired before I do. That's the attitude you have to have as a founder. And you can make your dreams come true. How hard are you willing to work in order to do so? So this has been a crazy journey over the last 5 years, but it's been amazing. Like I said, I never dreamed in a million years that I would experience this kind of growth as a human being. I got comfortable in the SEAL teams. I had been doing it for a really long time. I was really good at it. I really loved it, but I had no idea how much more I had to learn. And when I took that leap and started my own company, I learned quickly that, like, dude, you better learn really, really fast or this isn't going to work. And so if I had to sum this up and tell y'all what I'm most grateful for, as I'm now in my 5th year of this journey, it's that growth. I've probably done an effective job of scaring the bejesus out of some of you that are considering becoming an entrepreneur. So I have to say this. I can't even measure the growth that I have achieved over the last 5 years. I don't know how to do it. Like, I've learned a different language. I've learned a new skill set. I've learned how to do math I never thought I'd be able to do. Like, I hear people talking about business, and I'm like, yeah, I know what they're talking about. Like, it's incredible. So it's hard. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes you're going to wonder, why am I doing this to myself? But stay the course. It's worth it. So those are some lessons that I learned throughout my journey. I hope that it resonates with some of you. And yeah, that's it.
No, that's great, Ty. And I always lead off when I'm thinking about you and things of that nature, about like all the things you went through SEAL. But just hearing you talk about the combat versus the combat you're doing now, that really got me. It really struck me hard. But
this is combat. It's just a different kind. I feel like I'm still in the fight, just a different kind of fight.
Oh, well, I just want to personally just thank you, and also just for your service too. I think we always talked about that in tactical launch, and when we first all met, like, just thank you for your service, just first of all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I know you always are in this kind of mindset of service. I knew when we told you, like, can you just speak to the group, Ty? He was like, I'm not sure, but you were like, you know what, whatever you want. I definitely want to help out the cohort. I definitely want to help out other little Tys out there, right? But yeah, thank you for that. I didn't even know this coincide with with everything tonight. I think I know what's going on tonight. I was talking to Misty and some other groups, Neil, about what's going on tonight. But no, wish you the best of luck on that. If you have that much passion now over over this, right? I have full faith that you'll share that passion tonight.
Thank you.
We do have some potential questions. I know Joanna has some. We have some questions from the cohort. We maybe send you some of those things over too. We'll do that for this 10 minutes, and then we'll move over to this kind of speed networking on that part. But
sure.
This what we'll do. Stephen, you want to start off with some of the questions that we actually had from the previous cohort, and everyone who's in person, if you have some questions, just send them out on the chat, and we'll have you guys have those real-time questions. But Stephen, why don't you start off with some of the ones we had?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Ty, just got to say, I love your passion and all the energy you bring in your talk today. It's awesome.
Thanks, Steve.
So first question that we have for you from one of our cohorts, what was the hardest thing you faced when you had to pivot?
That's a great question. Gosh, that's a great question. And it's hard for me to answer because there's so many hard things that I've had to deal with over the last year in the middle of this pivot. To put my finger on any one, it's difficult, but if I had to say one thing, honestly, y'all, it's the uncertainty. Like this is my company's position, and this is me being like this. I'm an open book. I don't care. I'll tell you about the mistakes I made. It doesn't matter. When we were coming into 2020, we were excited because we experienced 900% revenue growth in 2019. And so coming into 2020, we were pumped. And then the pandemic came in, shut everything down, and it totally destroyed my business model because we were tech enabled, but we were more of a service, security services company than anything. And so I knew we were going to have a hard time because everybody was going to work from home. And we had to figure out how are we going to survive this. And so fortunately, we already had the idea around CommSafe AI as a product. And like I said, I had already started talking to CHROs and corporate counsel. And thank goodness for that, because if we hadn't, we probably would have been finished. But it was the uncertainty of knowing that, hey, it's going to work or it's not going to work. And this is the best idea that we have. And now we have to go out and talk to people about it. And knowing that it's going to take me time to gather all this data, and knowing that over time, I'm just burning money. Time is money in business. And we got to burn, right? I got to keep the lights on. I've got a staff to pay. I got to pay salaries. And so I think that was the hardest part. And I'm still dealing with that uncertainty because we pivoted and we pulled the company through this rebranding, but like I said, it's all on the line right now. We're down to our last 2.5, 3 months of cash, and I'm trying to close out this fundraiser, and this is going to work or it's not. I'm going to get the money from these angel syndicates or I'm not. So it's pretty stressful. And I'd say if I had to put my finger on it, that would be it. It's just the uncertainty of you don't know, but you have to know in your heart at the same time. And it's a difficult balance.
That was great. And we got a couple questions on the chat real time, Stephen. I'll see if LaRonda, did you want to unmute yourself to give that question directly to Ty?
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. So my question is, what techniques did you do to help yourself stay focused mentally when you were stressed? Like, did you have any rituals or affirmations that you would do? What kept you on track?
Great question. Great question. Yes, I still have those things. And it's really important for founders that you have those things, because if you become a casualty to stress as the leader of the company, you're not doing your company any good. So for me, I have three things, but unfortunately, I've lost access to two of them over the last year because of the pandemic. So, glory be to God, I still got the ocean. My three things is hot yoga, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and surfing. Believe it or not, those are my three passions. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to do yoga or Brazilian jiu-jitsu over the last year because nobody wants to get sick. But fortunately, I can still get in the water. So I've been surfing religiously, especially over the last year, at least 2 or 3 days a week. And that's really what helps me kind of like literally rinse off stress and heal mentally and physically and kind of recenter.
You were able to actually schedule that time being that you're so busy?
What's that?
I said, and you were able to schedule that time being that you're so busy?
Oh, well, that's one thing that you'll learn as a founder. You have to become a master at time management.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely have to become a master at time management. And a part of that time management and making sure that I make time to do those things that I need to do in order to make sure I'm taking care of myself. I've learned that I have to schedule those things just like I schedule meetings. Because if I don't schedule those events, I won't do them. I won't just like, okay, well, I'm going to go surfing now, or I'm going to go and work out now. It's like, no, like I said, this is my life. I don't have a plan B. If it's not on my calendar, I will be sitting at this computer or standing up in front of this computer doing it 24/7. I've even learned that sometimes, like, hey, man, schedule a date with your wife, like put it on the calendar and treat it like it's one of these meetings that you think are so important with a venture capitalist. Treat your private life the same way. So it's yeah, like I'll put stuff like that on the calendar and then I stick to it. If I got it on my calendar that I'm going to knock off work at 3 p.m. and go get in the ocean, and I'm going to treat myself to that, then I do it. Of course, if there's an emergency, then I got to do what I got to do, but I try to stick to it.
I have a question.
Mhm.
First of all, Ty, thank you so much. Literally, nobody else in the world should give another talk on grit. Like, it has to be you every time, all the time. So my question is, so now it seems that a lot of what you spoke about in terms of like, sometimes it's hard and you just give up, and sometimes you have to get yourself back on it. And some of the examples that you gave were related to, now you have these obligations, you're holding people's checks, like you have people that you need to employ, you have people you need to serve. But prior to that, so early stage, right, when it's more ideation, when it's just your partners who are 5% in and it's you and you're the one carrying the baton, how do you keep that grit alive? How do you say, you know what? Yeah, every day you read of something else and someone else has the same idea and someone else is going to be doing this, and Amazon's doing it and you don't have a chance. How do you get yourself back in that zone where you're like, doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, great, there's more people out there, proves the idea, I'm going to do it. What were your techniques there?
Phenomenal question. I think, honestly, I think some of that comes down to the individual, because I know for myself, I'm stubborn, and I don't know how to quit things. To fail or quit at something for me, like as a man, assaults my pride or my ego, and so like I refuse to do that. But also, you know, I feel like I personally had to face a lot of obstacles in my life, and growing up in a place like East St. Louis, Illinois, which is where I grew up like always hearing people tell me what I would never do, what I would never accomplish, that I wasn't smart enough to go to college, and all these horrible things that children should never hear, right? And so I think that kind of lit a fire in my gut, at an early age, to where I knew that I'm never going to allow somebody to tell me what I can and can't do. I'm never going to allow someone else to place limits on my growth potential. And so when I hear people talk about how hard something is, or when I hear someone say that, nah, I don't think you can do that, my brain is always like, okay, challenge accepted. Watch this. Again, around, over, or through. You know, if you're going to start this, like I'm going to get it done. So I think sometimes it comes down to the individual. Like you have to find what that thing is for you. For me, I think I grew up in adversity. I grew up knowing what it feels like to not have anything. And then finally, because I grew up without anything and you know, like again, I'll be honest, like my family was really poor, and my family in East St. Louis is still poor, and I love them, and I'll do anything for them. And if that means that I need to sacrifice so that I can build a kingdom for my family, I'm going to do it. And God forbid anything or anyone that tries to get in my way.
Thank you.
That's great, Ty. Yeah, like your passion. We have a few people who are feeling it. They give me these direct messages. So thank you for all the love. We got a question from Rodney too. Rodney, you want to unmute yourself and I can actually say it, but you can unmute yourself and pose that question to Ty.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, definitely, Rodney.
Okay. So my question is, what are your weaknesses and what are things that you do to overcome or even compensate for the weaknesses that you have when it comes to working with your business?
Amazing question. And I'm telling you, no one has ever asked me that as an entrepreneur. And I know that it's an amazing question because the answer immediately popped into my head. What am I weak at? Math. I'm not good at math. You know, when I hear people mention math, it kind of like takes me back into my head to grad school, and I wake up in the daytime with nightmares. But yeah, hey, listen, that's such a good question because as a founder, like I said earlier, founders have the tendency to go, oh, I can do it all myself, or if I want it done right, I got to do it myself, and I can take all this on my own. But the fool does that. You know, to me, real leadership is first and foremost, it's servant leadership, but it's also understanding how to bring people together that are highly motivated, highly capable, brilliant, bright people, and teaching them how to work together in order to achieve a goal that no matter how good they are, they couldn't do it on their own. Lastly, you go a step further, and because you taught them those lessons, those people continue growing even when you're no longer responsible for them. In my opinion, that's real leadership. And so that's what I do within my company. I know I'm not good at math. So guess what? I'm not managing the books. I went out and found a brilliant accounting team and a brilliant fractional CFO that manages the books for me. And they teach me how to know what I'm looking at and how to make sure that they're doing their jobs correctly. So that's a really good question because there's a whole lot that I'm not good at. The reason why my company is as successful as it is right now is because I've surrounded myself with people that cover my weaknesses, and I get out of their way. I don't stunt their growth. I rarely make a decision on my own in this company. Like, seriously, I'm going to say this again, y'all, because this was a terrible mistake that I made at the beginning of this. I was making decisions on my own. I thought I knew what I was doing, and I almost bankrupted my company. Like we got down to like 30 days cash. I was scared shitless. I didn't know what I was going to do because I thought I was making the right decision to scale the team at the time that I did, and everything was going great. And then all of a sudden cash flow slowed down, but I still had to pay all of these salaries, and it almost bankrupted us. And I learned from that lesson. And so now it is extremely rare that I make a decision on my own. Like, I've got all these brilliant people around me. Like, well, why would I try to make this decision by myself? Why don't I listen to them? Everybody in my company, I hired them because I believe they're smarter than me. And so I'm going to hire to strengthen my weaknesses, and I'm going to get out of those people's way. And I'm going to listen to them and let them grow.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great question, Rodney.
Yeah.
It was really good. We're gonna do something too. We had this one direct message, and I think Joanna, I think you were saying they wanted to hear your pitch. Was one
That was
message.
me. I said, I think you should.
Did you?
You got an audience to practice on. I know it's on your mind.
No, I would love to hear y'all's feedback. Just give me a second here to prepare the battle space.
Yeah, no problem.
And I will do that. And while I'm doing this, if someone else wants to ask a question, that's good.
I think Joanna had another one. Did you have another question?
I love what you said about like treating your date night with your wife as like as important as a VC meeting. So I was just curious, like, what's your support network like? You know, a lot of times when people are doing entrepreneurship, you know, there's people around them saying like, you're crazy. Why are you doing that? What do you mean you don't have a salary yet? And it's like that's terrible moral support, you know? And it's like, it makes the journey even harder, right? You're getting all this feedback from the people saying like, you could just get like a regular job. What is wrong with you? So
no, you're absolutely right.
How does your wife support you, and sort of what kind of like, how have you built a support network to allow you to do this?
So I'm actually really, really blessed because I have a fantastic support network. I have a network of mentors like you and Curling, Johanna, that I can lean on whenever I have founders' dilemmas that I'm having a hard time solving. And even if the team as a whole, if we're having a hard time solving a problem, I have people like you that I can call on to augment the team and go, hey, will you help us solve this problem? But also, I'm really fortunate in that my wife does really, really well professionally, and that's helped to support me over the last 5 years that I've pretty much been relying on my military retirement and my wife's income, to help hold down the fort. Now, fortunately, it's like, I've done well and my retirement is good, and I don't have any debt, so I'm okay. But I've been really, really fortunate that I have a beautiful wife that, like over the last couple of days, I have not had balance over the last couple of days. And we have a 1-year-old at home. And I'm telling you right now, balance.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, balance is super important, but I haven't had it over the last couple of days because I've been so focused on closing out this funding round. I've been so focused on us getting to beta with our technology. There's been a lot going on, and it makes it easier for me when my wife doesn't give me a hard time because I'm still upstairs on the computer. She gets it, and she doesn't give me a hard time about it, so that's helpful.
Great.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Joanna. Those are good. Yeah, I definitely doing the pitch, and then what we'll do after that, we'll immediately go after your pitch to the Speed Network, and then
Cool.
I'll have Stephen come in that.
All right.
I asked specifically because last week we did a session on what should be in your pitch, and people had questions right before your session, so it's perfect.
All right. Well, we're about to do it. So.
Awesome.
If y'all want to time me. I have 3 minutes.
Sure.
To do pitch.
I have Joanna do timing.
I'm on it.
Actually, let me close this so I don't confuse
myself.
All right.
I remember we always did this, Ty. We always did this kind of timing thing with the cohorts. That's great. That's fun.
Okay, here we go. So about a week ago, I was doing some research and I came across this really sad article about a woman named Claire. Claire was at work. She was in a group meeting and she couldn't figure out why several of her colleagues kept looking down at their computers and they were giggling back and forth until later that day, they accidentally included her on the email chain where they were making fun of her. And she was devastated. But the bullying didn't stop there. They would do things like purposely tell her the wrong time to show up at an event just so that they could tell the boss that she was late. Can you imagine how horrible this woman must have felt going to work every day. See, at the nucleus of this kind of discrimination and harassment is toxic communication. And it's costing this country $520 billion every year. It's getting worse as a result of this pandemic, and it's hurting people that we know. That's why we built CommSafe AI. It predicts and identifies toxic communication and workplace violence in real time. Let me show you how this technology works. This is a toxic message. If an employee at one of our customer companies sends a toxic message to another employee, whether it be over corporate email or over chat like Slack or Workday, what you're going to see as this message comes into this inbox is our technology is going to find that message, it's going to flag it, it's going to label it as being toxic, then it's going to send an alert to the head of HR, letting them know exactly what happened and what needs to happen next in order to cure that particular situation. This opportunity is massive because we're going to disrupt several markets with this technology. Our sum alone is $4 billion. Our customer lifetime value, $350,000, and our LTV ratio will be at 4:1 by 2023. We conducted more than 60 interviews with HROs and corporate counsel. We learned that privacy will be a question. We've got both covered. Employee privacy is the responsibility of the client. Coach our clients that let the employees know this tech can keep them safe, not to spy on them. Customer data is secure because we built the technology in AWS infrastructure, and our database sits in restricted virtual private cloud that only the application itself has access to. We have built the best team on the planet to solve this problem. Our team already combines 5 exits. We're better than our competition because of our access to military data and the unique go-to-market strategy we've built with the largest insurance brokerages on the planet. We're a B2B SaaS company, and we've got a legacy pipeline of the 50 clients that have already expressed interest in this technology. We've already closed 1.2 million of our $2 million round. We've already closed our first private beta client. We're going to use this money to close the next 2, focus on beta, scale the sales team, and prep for Series A. Thank you.
All right. John, what do you have on the time on that?
3 minutes and 7 seconds.
But
there was like a pause. There's a pause from like when you put your slide up. There was probably a couple of seconds before
I see.
started talking, and I had already hit. So you're probably really close to 3 minutes. They'll probably give you the grace.
Yeah, I start my timer when I started talking because that's what Misty said is going to happen.
Okay, that's good.
When you start talking, the timer starts. So
okay, so you're probably like right on it.
I hope so.
Only feedback I would have, Ty, you did a good job. I love the energy. You know, I've been a judge at a lot of these ones. Maybe that ending slide, maybe as you're just waiting, right? Because I've been part of that you either have, you know, like an image of something you want to have up there, or maybe an image of your logo and maybe a number there. You never know who's like, look at, let me write that number down.
Yeah, that's true.
So just while you're doing Q&A, just have something up there that people are like, okay, let me go check that out now. Let me do that part. So have that ending slide be something that has something that they can either ping on or ping you on or something like that. That would be my only thing. One more slide.
Absolutely.
While you're answering Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hanging out with Misty and them like 2 days ago. So yeah, it'll be all good.
I will definitely do that.
All right, so that was good. That was good. Thank you, Joanna, for suggesting that on that pitch. That was great.
Fun.
I think that was good. That was really fun, and at least the cohort got to see that. I would just thank you again, Ty. All your love, support, man. You're gonna get that tenfolds back. So thanks for being that open with us.
Really appreciate it.
I'll hand it over to Stephen. You can wrap it up, Stephen. We still will have some time maybe to do some of the speed networking, but I'll let you wrap it up first, and then we'll do it that route.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Ty. That was an awesome talk today. Grab, we got to hear your pitch. like Joanna said, we did a talk on pitches last week, so it was cool to be able to hear, you know, something real, right?
No, you got it. Again, I was humbled that you asked, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, but I guess just to reiterate before we close it out, for those of you who are watching, whether it's live or whether you're watching this recorded on YouTube, feel free to give us a like, leave a comment down below if you have a question, anything Ty shared today, or just want to continue the discussion, right? We want to, make this a learning opportunity for anyone who, has a chance to view these videos. So if you have a chance to interact with it anyway, feel free to do so. And it helps that video be pushed out, right? So any interaction you get, whether it be leaving a like, leaving a comment, sharing your thoughts, could allow this video to be pushed out to an entrepreneur who really needed to hear a lot of the things that Ty shared today. So if you have a chance, feel free to do so. But as always, we will see you in the next video.